What drives someone to stare at a wall for 9 years straight? You know kung fu movies? Every single one of them exists because of one stubborn monk who refused to move. I'm Matt, and this is the story Hollywood doesn't want you to know. Meet the monk who stared at a wall for 9 years, lost his legs, and in the process, created kung fu, brought Zen Buddhism to China, and possibly gave us tea. This is the story of Bodhidharma, the prince who became a legend. Everyone loves a good origin story. Batman had his cave. Spider-Man had his spider bite. But Bodhidharma, the man Chinese would call the blue-eyed barbarian, he had something way more intense. Born into royalty in ancient India, he had it all. Wealth, power, luxury at his fingertips. Then one day, he walked away from everything, crossing stormy seas to China, where his striking blue eyes and foreign ways earned him that legendary nickname. This decision would change not just his life, but the future of martial arts and Zen Buddhism forever. Because this mysterious monk didn't just transform meditation, he created a tradition of warrior monks that would inspire generations. Those Shaolin monks you've seen in movies, their story starts with him. Those ancient training methods that turned monks into warriors, his teachings. That discipline of mastering both mind and body, his legacy. Here's what makes this story truly special. Everything Bodhidharma taught centuries ago, modern science is just starting to prove he was right all along. So here's your challenge as you watch. By the end of this video, you'll need to decide. Was Bodhidharma really superhuman, or just the greatest teacher who ever lived? Either way, I promise you this, his story will change how you think about human potential. Forever. Let's begin. The story of the blue-eyed barbarian starts in a place you wouldn't expect. A palace in South India, around 440 AD. Born as the third son of the Pallava king, young Bodhidharma lived a life most of us can only dream about. Servants at his beck and call, the finest education money could buy, and a destiny carved into the palace walls themselves. According to ancient records, Bodhidharma was an imposing figure. Beyond his striking blue eyes that seemed to pierce through illusions, he stood tall, with dark skin weathered by the Indian sun. His thick beard and intense gaze made him instantly recognizable. Even the way he moved caught attention. Graceful, yet powerful, like a warrior who had found inner peace. But something was different about this prince. While his brothers trained in warfare and politics, Bodhidharma spent hours questioning the royal teachers about the meaning of life. Why are we here? What's the point of all this luxury? Heavy questions for a young prince. These were the same questions that another Indian prince had asked, nearly 1,000 years before. That prince became the Buddha, and his teachings had slowly spread across Asia. Now they were transforming China. But something was missing. Something that only Bodhidharma could provide. Then one day, everything changed. A wandering Buddhist master named Prajnatara visited the palace. As the story goes, the moment their eyes met, Prajnatara saw something special in the young prince. This wasn't just another royal seeking wisdom to show off at parties. This was someone who might actually get it. The master's words to the king were simple but shocking. Your son isn't meant for the throne. He's meant for something far greater. Now imagine telling a powerful king that his son should give up the palace life to become a monk. Most kings would have thrown the master out right there. But something incredible happened. The king agreed. What happened next would make even modern billionaires think twice. Bodhidharma didn't just give up some of his wealth. He gave up everything. His royal titles, his precious possessions, even his birth name. And that was just the beginning. His master had seen a vision of Buddhism's future in China. And Bodhidharma? He was the only one who could make it happen. But first, he had to learn, and not just for a few weeks or months. We're talking years of intense training. meditation that would break most people, teachings that would twist your brain into knots. All of this, just to prepare him for a journey that most people thought was impossible. Remember when you thought a 5-hour flight was rough? Try sailing across 2 oceans, in a wooden boat, for 3 years. That's exactly what Bodhidharma did. No GPS, no weather reports, just a small trading ship fighting massive waves, dodging pirates, and battling storms that could shatter the vessel into splinters. But the real challenges, they were waiting on shore. China in the 6th century was a land of countless kingdoms and fierce rivalries, but it was also experiencing a golden age of Buddhist exploration, with merchants and monks bringing new ideas along the Silk Road. When Bodhidharma finally reached China in 527 AD, during the golden age of the Liang dynasty, news of the blue-eyed foreign monk spread like wildfire. A mysterious master from India, with eyes that seemed to pierce through your soul? Everyone wanted to meet him, including the most powerful man in China, Emperor Wu of Liang. This wasn't just any meeting. Emperor Wu had transformed Buddhism in China, spending a fortune building over 500 temples, copying sacred texts in gold, and housing tens of thousands of monks. For centuries after, this encounter would be studied by Zen students as the moment that defined their tradition. 2 titans of Buddhism, about to clash in a way no one expected. Now, Emperor Wu had prepared himself thoroughly. He'd studied Buddhist philosophy for decades, supported countless monasteries, and considered himself the greatest patron Buddhism had ever known. He had prepared deep, philosophical questions that he was sure would impress this foreign master. Their meeting would become legendary, but not for the reasons the emperor hoped. "What is the source of all creation?" the emperor asked, confident in his profound question. Bodhidharma laughed. "What kind of foolish question is that? Ask something else." The entire court froze. Nobody had ever dared speak to the emperor like that. Red-faced, but trying to maintain his dignity. Emperor Wu tried again. "Then tell me, what is the source of my existence?" This time, Bodhidharma laughed even louder. "This is an utterly stupid question. Ask something else." Imagine that scene for a moment. The most powerful man in China, used to everyone bowing to his wisdom, being told his deep philosophical questions were stupid. But Bodhidharma wasn't trying to be rude. He was teaching a profound lesson. True wisdom isn't found in grand philosophical questions, but in direct experience. Without another word, he turned and walked away. Not just from any conversation, he walked away from the Emperor of China. Nobody did that, ever. But Bodhidharma wasn't interested in imperial favor or fancy philosophical debates. He had a different destination in mind. A small temple in the middle of nowhere, a place that would soon become legendary, thanks to what he was about to do there. The Shaolin Temple was waiting. The temple that greeted Bodhidharma wasn't the mighty fortress you might imagine, just a quiet monastery, tucked away in the Song Mountain range. But what happened next would turn it into a legend. Bodhidharma walked into the temple, found an empty cave facing a wall, sat down, and didn't move for 9 years. 9 years. Just think about that for a second. Most of us can't sit still for 9 minutes. This guy sat facing a wall for 9 years. But why a wall? The answer reveals everything about Zen. No decorations, no distractions, no escape from your own mind. Just you and a blank wall until you break through all illusions. The local monks thought he was crazy. They'd watch him sitting there, day after day, through blazing summers and freezing winters. Some tried to talk to him, others left food. Most just whispered about the strange blue-eyed monk who wouldn't move. Then came the famous night that changed everything. The story goes that Bodhidharma got so frustrated with falling asleep during meditation, he cut off his own eyelids. Legend has it that where his eyelids fell, the first tea plants grew, giving us the gift that would help monks stay awake during meditation for centuries to come. True story? Maybe not. But here's what we do know. After years of sitting, his legs actually atrophied. The man literally lost the use of his legs because he sat still for so long. That's not a legend. That's dedication on a whole different level. But something else was happening during those 9 years, something that would change the temple forever. The monks who watched him were getting weaker. Hours of meditation with no physical training was taking its toll. And Bodhidharma? He was about to revolutionize everything they knew about spiritual practice. After 9 years of wall-gazing, Bodhidharma finally stood up and saw a problem. The monks were weak, like really weak. Many could barely stay awake during meditation. Others were getting sick all the time. His solution? The creation of what we now know as Shaolin Kung Fu, possibly the most famous martial art in history. Bodhidharma gathered the monks and taught them a series of exercises he'd brought from India. But these weren't just any exercises. These movements would become the foundation of Shaolin Kung Fu, a perfect blend of physical training with meditation, breathing with power, stillness with explosive strength. The first Kung Fu training manual he created was called the Muscle Tendon Change Classic. Sounds boring, right? Wrong. This wasn't just any exercise routine. The manual detailed 18 precise movements, each one designed to strengthen both body and mind. From the Iron Bridge stance that could make legs unshakable, to the Tiger's Embrace that built explosive arm strength, to the Dragon's Breath that enhanced vital energy. These exercises would become the foundation of Shaolin's famous Yi Jin Jing, techniques so powerful they're still practiced today. These were the original techniques that would transform peaceful monks into the legendary Shaolin Kung Fu masters. Each movement of this early Shaolin Kung Fu had a purpose. Some mimicked animals, others focused on building internal energy. But all of them had one goal: to make the body strong enough to handle hours of deep meditation. The monks thought he was crazy. Again. Why would peaceful Buddhist monks need to learn Kung Fu? Bodhidharma's answer was simple. The body is the temple of the mind. A weak temple cannot protect anything. At first, the Shaolin Kung Fu training was brutal. Monks who thought they were tough discovered muscles they never knew existed. But something amazing started happening. They got stronger, healthier, more focused. Their meditation improved. Their minds became sharper. Soon, word spread about these Shaolin Kung Fu masters. A new tradition was born, one that would inspire countless martial art styles and spread across Asia. But Bodhidharma wasn't done yet. His next creation would be even more mind-blowing. While Shaolin Kung Fu trained the body, Bodhidharma's greatest revolution was yet to come. He was about to create something that would change Buddhism forever. Zen. Before Bodhidharma, Buddhism in China was all about studying endless scriptures and performing complex ceremonies. But he looked at all that and said something shocking. You won't find truth in words or rituals. You'll find it by looking directly into your own mind. This was Zen, direct, simple, revolutionary. He taught it through actions that seemed crazy at the time, like that famous wall gazing. It wasn't just stubborn meditation, it was a statement. Stop looking for answers in books. Stop searching for Buddha outside yourself. Just sit and see who you really are. One story perfectly captures what made Zen so different. A monk came to Bodhidharma and said, "Master, my mind is troubled. Please help me find peace." Bodhidharma replied, "Show me your mind and I will put it at peace." The monk said, "But when I look for my mind, I cannot find it." There. Bodhidharma smiled. I have put it at peace. Boom, that's Zen. Don't worry if this seems confusing. We'll dive deep into what Zen really is in a future video. But for now, just know that Bodhidharma's direct approach changed everything. This approach didn't stop in China. Over time, it influenced Zen traditions in Japan, where it shaped samurai culture and spread to Korea and Vietnam, becoming a cornerstone of Asian spirituality. Why? Because it worked. In Japan, Zen inspired the samurai's disciplined way of life, influencing their code of honor known as Bushido. Korean Seon emphasized meditation practices that are still widely practiced today. And in the modern world, Zen's focus on mindfulness, simplicity, and direct experience has inspired art, poetry, and even business philosophies, particularly in Western countries. It cut through all the complicated philosophy and got straight to the point. You want to understand your mind? Sit down and look at it. You want to find truth? Stop searching and see what's already here. But just as Zen was taking root in China, something strange happened to its founder. This is where Bodhidharma's story gets really weird. After spending nearly 3 decades creating both Shaolin Kung Fu and Zen Buddhism, he vanished. Like, literally vanished. Here's where things get interesting. 3 legendary stories describe what happened to him, and each one is stranger than the last. According to one story, jealous rivals tried to poison him 6 times. He survived each attempt, until the 6th poison finally worked. But when his followers opened his tomb years later, they found only one thing: a single, old sandal. Another story says he never died at all. 3 years after his supposed death, a government official was traveling through the mountains between China and India when he saw something incredible. An old monk walking barefoot, carrying a staff with a single sandal hanging from it. When the official asked who he was, the monk replied, "I'm heading back to India." That monk? He looked exactly like Bodhidharma. The third story? Some say he achieved his final enlightenment in a cave high in the mountains, where his body dissolved into pure light, leaving behind only, you guessed it, a single sandal. One sandal. 3 different stories. It's like the ancient Chinese version of a mystery thriller. While many of these stories mix history with legend, archaeological evidence confirms Bodhidharma's presence at Shaolin Temple through ancient manuscripts and temple records. Stone carvings from that era still show a foreign monk with distinct features teaching both meditation and martial arts. To this day, nobody knows what really happened to the blue-eyed barbarian who transformed China forever. But maybe that's exactly how a Zen master's story should end, with a question mark that makes us all think. After all, as Bodhidharma himself might say, the real question isn't where he went. The real question is, where are you going? So what's the legacy of this mysterious blue-eyed monk who vanished into thin air? Just look around. Every kung fu movie you've ever watched traces back to his teachings at Shaolin. Every Zen meditation center around the world follows his direct approach to enlightenment. Even that green tea you might be drinking right now is tied to one of his legends. But his biggest impact, it's not in the history books, it's happening right now. Scientists studying meditation are discovering what Bodhidharma knew 1,500 years ago, that training the mind is just as important as training the body. Modern martial artists are still using his principles, combining physical movement with mental focus. And his core message? That truth isn't found in books or beliefs, but in direct experience. That's more relevant today than ever. Think about it. This one man created a martial art that spread worldwide, started a spiritual revolution that's still growing, showed us that physical and mental training go hand in hand, and disappeared like a legend, leaving us just enough mystery to keep questioning. Maybe that's why Bodhidharma's story still captivates us today. Because deep down, we all want to believe that one person can change everything. even if they have to stare at a wall for 9 years to do it. So ask yourself, if Bodhidharma could transform his mind and body to achieve something extraordinary, what could you change in your life to unlock your own potential? If Bodhidharma's story inspires you to find your own inner strength, or just makes you wonder what's possible, hit that subscribe button and join our journey through the wisdom of the ages. Drop a comment below with your theory about the mysterious sandal. Was he poisoned? Did he return to India? Or did he really dissolve into light? We've got more mind-bending stories from Buddhist history coming up, including a deep dive into Zen Buddhism itself. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of them. Remember what Bodhidharma taught us. Sometimes the craziest sounding ideas turn out to be the most powerful ones. Stay curious, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next video.